Hello, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about the idea of power and what is power. And we're going to look at the difference between power and leadership. And we're going to answer the question, if God is all powerful, well, why doesn't God just make the world a better place? God has been called the most powerful being in all of existence. What is power? And how does that relate to God? Well, let's go ahead and define power. I would say that power is the ability to get others to do your will. And you have power over a person if you can get them to do what you want. In a situation where you can't get anybody to do what you want, you're in fact powerless. So this is not an uncommon definition of power. Some people could disagree with it. Yeah, Webster is going to say position of control, authority, or influence over others, number one definition of power. So this has led to obviously arguments that God is not all powerful. If you look at, the world is so screwed up. Okay, so why, if God is all powerful, why is he allowing all these bad things to happen? Okay, so let's look at power and leadership. What is a leader, and how is a leader different than somebody who has power over you? Say like a manager or a boss. What's going to be the difference there? See, so a leader is an enabler or a servant, and the leader is going to work with you and give you tools to be successful on your own. So you use the tools and you're as successful or unsuccessful as you want to be. And that's on you. And the leader just helps you to be successful. It's not about imposing their will or influence over you. It's about getting you to a better place. Whereas power, as we've defined, is simply about having, influence over others or control. So it has nothing to do with making the world a better place or anything like that. So that's why those in power, keep on hurting those underneath them, because it's not about, they're not leaders. They're really just, addicted to power. Megalomaniacs. At that point, the only thing that they can see as good is getting others to do their will. It doesn't matter if their will is right or wrong or anything like that. It's just about getting others to do their will. They're addicted to that. They can't live without it. For anyone who's been on the receiving end, and that's what I want to look at now. If you're on a receiving end of a power dominant relationship, where somebody has control or influence over you, you become a subject. You are their peasant. Now, there certainly are relationships where, somebody has power over you and they have your best interest in heart. Where is this most likely the case, but not even always the case, is going to be in a parent-child relationship. So in a parent-child relationship, obviously the parent has a lot of control, not complete control over the child. Would be, not true. They certainly exercise a lot of control over the child. However, ideally the parent has the best interest of the child at heart, but even that's not true all the time, right? Because sometimes, the parent is, for example, going to have the child watch a movie, not because they think it's the best thing for the child to do, but just because they wanted a break from the child. You're not wrong for doing that, but, let's just be honest. When you're in these power dominant relationships, it's not about, doing the best thing for the person that you're in control over. That is secondary or even tertiary. If it happens, it's almost by sheer coincidence. And that's in the best case scenario of a parent-child relationship, where most parents have have their children's best interests at heart, but even that, not 100% of the time. So the best thing that we could look at is, hey, you gotta really give, whether it be your child or whoever, at work, maybe you're, in a position of power, you want to give those under you the tools that they can use to become better on their own. And then, you certainly are not going to be corrupted. So the saying that, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Is it true? I don't know. Maybe not. If you look at, Hitler, for example, was he corrupted before he started his rise to power, or did the power itself corrupt him as he was just amassing more and more power of getting people to follow, his will? And then even you can make arguments, how much power did he have over, Nazi Germany, or was it others as well? He's the one who gets all the blame. He's like the face of the movement. But is it true? Were people acting independently? I mean, obviously they were. So you never have complete control over people. Now, why is all this relevant? Well, shouldn't God just, exercise power over the earth and essentially take our will away to make the world a better place? And so no. See, the problem with that is, if God was just to execute power, make the world a better place, then guess what? We become the subjugated. We're not doing it on our own. See? So the point is for God to give you the tools for you to make the world a better place. And so that's what I've been working on. That's what certainly the purpose of these videos and the tools that I'm using, in my own life, that I'm reporting back to you. The idea, stop claiming that God is unknowable. You're only bringing pain and misery and suffering into the world. Stop identifying with the physical, either your body or material possessions. Again, have stuff, don't have stuff, that's fine, but understand that does not identify you. The more you identify with that which is nothing, again, you're just bringing pain and misery and suffering into your life and those of the lives around you, because you see everyone as just nothing but dust and death, because that's where we all end up. And then the idea that God's house is open and welcome to all. It's not transactional in nature. So I don't claim to know God, so I can't tell you with 100% accuracy that's true or not. However, the consequences from that belief are very great indeed, and that is you're certainly not going around condemning people to hell. I don't know how anybody reads the Bible and gets that's what they're supposed to do. It doesn't say anywhere to do that I don't think in the New or the Old Testament, for example. So understand that you should do. The other thing of this way of thinking is, you do things for God because you want to, not because you have to, not because you're a subject and you're trying to, get into, some kind of transactional thing to get into God's house. And look, and even if you're going to say, okay, yeah, that's what I believe, but then you're going to tell me that, you had to say that you believe a certain prophet is your path to God. Again, that's a transaction. And I'm saying no transaction, just your simple existence is enough. However, you have free will. You can certainly exercise that, and you could refuse entry into God's house on your own, and that's up to you. So that's what I would be trying to stop, is to say, hey, whoa, no, I think you want to go to God's house. Maybe you've just been misinformed as to what it is. So this is this idea of power versus leadership. So I can't imagine God as some megalomaniac trying to. You already have infinite power, so why not use that infinite power just to make the world a better place? Well, again, when you exercise power over another, you actually subjugate them, and in some instances that's fine. In some minor instances, so let's say you're teaching your kid to ride a bike, and you say, hey, you're going to wear safety equipment, and I don't care what you want. You've exercised, but that's the right thing to do, right? You know, you don't want your kid learning to ride a bike without safety equipment, even though they might not want it. You know, they might be, oh, this looks stupid, it feels uncomfortable, you know, whatever your argument is. You know, I never wanted to wear safety equipment, for example. But yeah, but to just say, you know, it's not correct to sit there and just continuously hold power over someone and just get them to bend to your will. Eventually, you got to let, we're still in this bike analogy, you know, you gotta let your kid go and ride the bike for themselves. There's a, you know, at some point, you have to hand over control. And so if you've been a good leader, you know, your goal is to hand over control, as much control, and as soon as possible. Whereas kind of a more power-hungry megalomaniac can't give up that control. So if God were to come down and fix all of our problems, we would be powerless, we would be controlled, we would be subjugated by God. And so I would see the scenario that God gives us the tools that we make the world a better place ourselves. Did God save the earth? Yeah, sure, he gave us the tools. But to just sit around and say, oh, God is going to save the earth and save the world, and I'm just going to, well, basically sit here and do nothing, yeah, that's a big problem. So don't do that. Use these tools. First, use these tools to whatever relationship you currently have with God to make that stronger. So there's two kind of pitfalls. Number one, if you already have a certain understanding of God, you know, you got to give that up. Because God is unknowable. So you got to just let that go. And you can think of it as a trust exercise, you know, where you fall back and have somebody catch you. God's going to catch you. I have no doubt. And then, yeah, you shouldn't be not doing things or doing things because you're going to be punished. You know, that's not even a good way to train a dog, for example. The punishment or even the reward-based model of training a dog, you know, that's classical operant conditioning. It hijacks the brain. Really, and so the dog or the animal in that case, even if you're doing the reward-based method, they're not thinking. So you don't want to do things just because you're going to be rewarded either. Is that what you want? Is that what you want out of your relationships? Do you want, you know, your children to do things for you because they just love you and like doing things for you, or because they think they're going to get something out of it? You know, some candy or money or something. I would hope if you had the choice, you would want your kids to do things for you because, you know, they love you. So definitely, you know, be in that position where you're doing things for God, not for, I don't know, some transactional way. Be doing things because, you know, simply because you love God and want to do great things. And then you have to let go of this physical world, and it's tough. I get it, because it's right in front of us, and it seems very real. You know, understand that it's not real. And give that up. And you can become closer to God. Well, I hope this video is giving you the understanding of the idea that we shouldn't sit around and wait to be saved by God. And the reason that God just doesn't snap his or her fingers and make the world a better place. Now, if you haven't seen the other videos on God is unknowable, the body is nothing, and there's no quid pro quo for entry into God's house, those will be linked below. And at the end of this video, if you want to see more on those topics, I would suggest watching them. And as always, the purpose of this channel is to give you the tools to become closer to God on your own. So at the end of the day, once you take these tools and you say, well, where do I go from there? Well, that's up to you, and that's your relationship with God, and that's for you to figure out, and that's part of the greatness of life.